The K Jazz Show, Sundays on Kofifi FM 97.2.
Our guest this morning joins us as he gets ready to release his next project. McCoy Mrubata has played with many cover bands such as Fever, Touch, and Airborne. He grew into playing a wider range of reeds and composition and joined Hugh Masekela's Lerapo in 1992, toured the world, including playing alongside Lawrence Machiza and Moses Molelekwa. Since then, he's recorded several solo projects, earning summer nominations, including the category Best Traditional Jazz Album for his project, the Brass Cup Sessions Volume 1. McCoy is back in 2024 with his new project, which he releases through Robodope and Africa Rise alongside his ensemble, Siyabulela. He is one of South Africa's most esteemed and influential saxophonists of all time and has enjoyed a musical career that has 20 albums as well as accolades from press and fans around the world. Welcome back, in fact, to Kofifi FM 97.2.
Exactly. It's good to be back at home. Yeah, Kofifi kaloko mani.
Where it all began. Thank you for joining us this Sunday. It is indeed an exciting time, as you get ready to reveal to us the next project from you, a personal project, by the way, that you've decided to call Lullaby for Khayoyo. So let's talk about the inspiration behind the title and how did you decide to name it after Uput Khaya?
Man, to name it Khayoyo Ukhaya Motsoeneng, my grandson, is my very first grandson, McCoy Mrubata, who actually Paul Henma wrote a piece about him, some decades ago, album 2000, Waki's walk when Waki was a baby, he used to walk funny, Now his son, happens to, is dead to name an album about him. He's a pride man. Whenever he comes for visits, he lights up the house. It's just like Waki when he was growing up. Very clever. Curious and loving music, singing all the time.
And you record this project alongside Siyabulela, an ensemble that features incredible musicians, such as our very own Sia Charles and Stephen Pifka Evan. The name Siyabulela, of course, to our listeners is closer for We Give Thanks. Let's talk about these musicians and how you brought it all together.
Yeah, I've been privileged when I was for touring the States for the past few years, especially lately, I've been frequenting America, and during those visits, one got to play with almost the same musicians, hence I thought, no, let me give my American band a name, Siyabulela, and the name Siyabulela, as you've just, translated it, there's a song also on the album named Siyabulela, it came through a commission, a certain gentleman by the name of Wandile Yani, when he tasked me to do EMDing and producing the album that was called Voices on OR Time, but this was back in 2017, and that song is part of that that material that was supposed to be recorded. It's not been released yet. I thought, no, in the meantime, let me borrow that song. It's such a beautiful song, although on the album it's got lyrics, but in this case it's instrumental. So basically I just borrowed from a commission of a certain show, after all is ingoma yam kaloku.
Of course, you got first rights to every part of it, but yes. But McCoy, I really want us to, I think there are some people that are listening this Sunday that are probably, finding out about you for the very first time. First listeners to the K Jazz Show and those who are maybe recently introduced to jazz music, from a South African context. Let's go back to the days of your upbringing. You grew up in Cape Town in the historic township of Langa. And looking back for you, growing up during those times, how has that experience influenced or shaped your music and you as an artist over the years?
It shaped me in a very big way, such that one is able to write music that has a big band era type of sound. I'm also able to bring out music or very choral music or deep jazz, and that also has a traditional Xhosa, simply because in the 60s as a toddler, opposite my grandma's house, they used to rehearse a big band, whereby they'll play ingoma zo Count Basie, Duke Ellington, and then, I like telling this story, because as a toddler, I thought that band and the house was magical because I'll go there and find myself back at home. It only occurred to me, 3 years later, I must have fallen asleep.
Yeah.
And then a band member or a family member, young Tata, young Sa Ekaya, So I absorbed all that music, as a toddler,
Yeah.
And another aspect, traditional, this was opposite. And then on the left side of my grandma's house, amaziyoni, the Zion, tradition, church, yabon.
Yeah.
On the right hand side, traditional healers, So, as you know, ekasi music, loud music, abayimandi ngaba weekends. So weekends were crazy in a beautiful way. There was lots of music going around, not forgetting also my record of my uncles and aunt, everyone had their favorites. My older uncles were into the old jazz, Duke Ellington, Count Basie, and Satchmo, and then the younger uncles, the modern, McCoy Tyner, John Coltrane, avant-garde, Archie Shepp, One of my uncles, Betandu Brahuma Babu Huma Sekela, and he loved choral music, And my grandma on this side, Utadu Brooke Benton, and my aunts loved Marvin Gaye, Aretha Franklin, all that, I've absorbed all these growing up.
Yeah.
That's what schooled me.
What an important point that you're touching on. When we've been having conversations around, music that was done, etc., etc. This is a conversation that I've been having this past week, by the way. They never used to write music. It was just showing up with music, and that was how they interpreted that. That's how they created sound. Would you say that you belong to that same school? Would you say that you just walked in, and because you just alluded now that you were never really in a school for music, but then it was that sonic thing,
For sure.
and it just makes sense. Tell us about that experience for you.
Yeah, I definitely come from that school. It's only a bit the latter, when I got into saxophone, the solid 3 years it played by ear, but one got curious to know better about theory and all of that, and I tell you, musicians that learned organically like that, the deep Kagbi, I'm telling you. And then to this day, I wake up with a song, with an idea.
Yeah.
It's I want. I mean, if I was asked to write again, I won't change a thing. I love the way I started. I would love the way I started music. I'm what I am because of the way I learned music. And also. Not forgetting to credit people who helped me along the way. There was ubaba wasekwalanga, ubaba utatu katudu, who got hold of an old room, a big room, in a thingy migrant dwelling, It was an unused room. What he did, he hired it. He put a piano and a board and a drum kit, and then started teaching theory to musicians.
Yeah.
This was in the 70s. I only knew about it in 1976. And by that time he had all these older musicians who were now teaching us, to read, I must acknowledge that as well, And of course, there was a gentleman in town, Martin Barrow, also who used to give, free lessons to, kids from townships, Ngama weekends, Yes, yeah. And of course, my heroes, Abo Ezra Ngukana, the late Ezra, the late Mankuku Ngozi, Robbie Jensen. I used to ask tips, that's part of my schooling and university.
Absolutely. It's part of how you became, the greatest McCoy Mrubata here on the KJ Show. Of course, sharing gems and we're spending time. It's all about his brand new project, Lullaby for Khayoyo. But we could not help but tap into a bit of history, as we always do here on Kofifi FM. Yes, we're spending time with a living legend of South African jazz. He is the saxophonist, known for his work with Hugh Masekela, studied with Langa legends such as Umadota Klebakia. And of course, Fezile Black, who is a trumpeter, and of course, Penny Whistle Master Robert Sitole. All these names come from this wonderful history, and he's, of course, our musical guest this Sunday. But McCoy, let's talk about then moving out of Lana. You arrive in Johannesburg in the 80s, touring with Hugh Masekela and alongside Brazilian incredibles, greats such as Erto and Flora Plurin. Looking back, what are some of those highlights during that time?
Man, there are so many, but they were all beautiful in their own right. Great, I mean, first of all, I want to acknowledge Ubabu Hostix Mabuse for bringing me to Johannesburg, Yeah. I don't want to be arrogant and say I was going to come to Johannesburg anyway. No. But the timing Yokuti Ang Land to call me was something else. He saw me perform at Good Hope Center with there was music about this crossover. This gentleman, the late Louis Ribeiro, tried a similar thing that was done by Johnny Clegg, where you will play traditional and rock and all of that, and band from many demographics. So he saw me perform with that. He invited me to 1987. I always cherish that, the timing, 87. And Wako, the following year, 1988, I'm 27, or about 28. I get a recording deal with a British-based record company, That's one of the highlights, And at the time, they had our own Jonathan Butler, and the gentleman who African Queen,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I know exactly who you're referring to. Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, no, what is this, And who got me the deal was a talent scout. Back in the day, the beginner talent scout, / producer, the late Koloi Libona. He saw me perform a Roxy Rhythm Bar and offered me a deal, At this time, I'm playing with Hot Sticks, And then, just then, I joined the PJ Powers, And
wow.
PJ Powers enabled me to make my first visit in America. 1988. I'm hardly a year in Gauteng. That's why I will not forget Ubabu Hostix Mabuse. Super Mabuse, Yeah. The timing was way too beautiful. And of course, the role my mother played back in Cape Town, she used to accommodate musicians that came from Joburg,
Yeah.
She would always say, I'm paving my way for Umdana, I'll help these people, because back in that day, in the 70s, 60s, there were no hotels. Traveling musicians, and be accommodated. That's where my mom came into the picture, and because she's the one who saw my talent, at a very young age, and even to the point that she bought me my first flute, in 1978. And then meeting Flora Purim through March 2000, when there were collaborations, they were recording the late Moses Molelegwa, and it was something else, rubbing shoulder with those people and being in the studio and performing with them, and then hear them talk. I mean, we are young, hearing these beautiful stories, man. That's something else. Of course, touring with Brahu was the best. He was the best. We told the whole world with him.
I want us to talk about collaborations briefly, in the industry. Back in the day, there were so many artists that came together to co-create music with one artist. You'd have yourself, you had Brian Hugh, you'd have Kai Fast, you'd have Jonas on this one incredible record, and these days, but McCoy, it's always the same artists that are featured on several projects, and to someone who is a young artist and who understands the art of creating music the way you guys did it back in the day, and he's looking around him and he's saying, but where did that go? What's your take on that? And how would you advise this young artist to on the importance anyway of collaboration?
Very important, it opens one scope, and also it helps, make our music even richer, when I give masterclasses and workshop, I stress in the partnership, collaborative work, and also teamwork, For instance, when I do an album, I don't produce it myself. I don't write all the songs, I'm capable of doing that, but, I'll rather delegate, get to my young producer, Luyanda, produce me, to write lyrics for me, I don't want to do everything, And also monetary, it also helps so that, they get something good royalties, because property we must live off them. Yeah, we need to create that, So I encourage youngsters to really collaborate, man, and work, because like you say, back in the day, it was a piece of cake. To this day, I work with Paul Henman. Paul is a star in his own right, but he's on my albums. I'm on his albums. Sometimes we collaborate, And I recently formed a band called Eza Sebutlanti, where I have Ufeya Faku, Lex Fuchane, Paul Henma, Louis Mhlanga, Barry Van Sale, six of us, musicians, Why can't the youngsters do that, There was sheer all-stars, with the late Babu Sipo Kumede, Errol Dias, Paul Helmer, Frank Paco, We need this. Yeah. Another thing I stress with musicians, they mustn't suppress what comes, to them naturally and try to sound like, new wave jazz, guys. There's nothing wrong with, but bring out what comes naturally more than trying to sound like it's just that these names, Kendrick Scott, all nice guys, it's fine, because now I'm influenced. I was influenced by Groove Washington. I'm still influenced by, Kenny Garrett, all these cats, there might be elements whereby I try to go modern for 4 bars, but I encourage to stress, 80% must be you, so that by the time you are established, you have your own voice. You don't need this, whatever idea comes naturally, and then you can add elements,
Kofi FM, we're spending time with South Africa's favorite and best saxophonist export to the world, Bob McCoy Mrubata. He's an elder, award-winning jazz producer and educator, who joins us this Sunday as we get ready for his next project, the launch of his next project, Lullaby for Khayoyo. Let's talk about the creative process, for this project and what that sounded like.
Yeah, as I was getting my ideas, Sitting, the founder, we've been talking about doing this album a lot, and also I've been touring a lot, in the States with a gentleman called Gary Whitner. So sometimes you play as a duo. So I thought the process now must change. I always workshop my music mostly with a pianist, and sometimes Andy Leyenana, like Quiet Please, Paul Henma, Luyanda Madope. I roped in a guitarist, by the name of Mongi Oscar Dlamini, simply because I knew I was gonna go to the States in Kerry, to record this album, and then sometimes play this song as a duo. So what I did, I wrote this gentleman in, and then we worked on the melodies, and then now and then sending the voice, tracks to Ukeri so that he can get the feel, not necessarily to sound like monkey, Yabon. Yeah. And then, we did that. And then I also got my favorite arranger and the guy who knows me, my music, like just like Luyanda and Paul, Jabu Makubane. Jabu now cleaned the horn section, where there's horns and all of that, and the harmonies, and when it came to chord, what this goes to now, what I was talking about earlier, teamwork. Collaboration, teamwork, not only on stage, even behind the scenes, So that was the process. And then I went to America, I performed this we taught the newly formed band, Siabulela, sometimes playing the songs with Ugeri and along with this material, that's how this time around the process worked,
The album is coming out, through Robodope, which is the label that is home to Bagitu Kumalo, Linda Skakan, and now Mbuso Koza. Let's talk for a moment, briefly even, why you thought it was a good idea or a good move, for this new chapter, as Africa Rise, to be a part of it. And what does this mean for your music now?
It's just gonna go from strength to strength. It's gonna my music and my career is gonna go to another level, because anything that Stephen Hawkins touches turns to gold, And one is privileged that I met this gentleman some years ago. Like I posted the other day that, hey, what am I without Stephen Hawkins, in my corner? So I mean that. It was a no-brainer. When he mentioned this many years ago, I was like, man, anytime, I'm ready. But then I still owe Imakoto Pong Ilokuzana record, Hence, I recorded with the band, not as McCoy and Siabulela,
That's right. Yeah.
With respect, the other obligations. Yeah,
correct.
Dope Africa Rise. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's my home.
Well, we look forward to hearing all of it and everything that's going to come out from that project. But this one, Lullaby for Khayoyo, comes out on the 5th of April. And of course, as jazz fans, we also want to know, Bob McCoy, are we getting CDs? Are we getting vinyls?
Vinyls maybe later this year or next year, but definitely CDs on the 5th, in fact, the CDs have been printed, Yeah. So he's couriering a few, so people better get in touch with us while stocks last, and then, and then I go to America to do the SF Jazz, San Francisco Jazz Festival, and then a few other gigs with my friend Gary, Siabulela, and then I'll come back with more stocks, so that I have enough stock to go by and sell to South Africans as well, and people across the world, South Africa at home. And June, that's where I'm gonna go on a mini tour, going to a few towns to do kind of CD launch, tour, this album, and also celebrating my 65th birthday.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm then dead. So this is I'm born on the 1st of June, so it's gonna be around early June into mid June. Yeah, I'm just gonna promote this as Ekai.
No, listen, we look forward to it. And you, as such a young man, celebrating 65. Listen, it's very young age, very fantastic age to be a musician at this time. But we look forward to seeing you on stage, and we look forward to being a part of this new journey, this new chapter in the life and times of McCoy Mrubata as you take this on the road. And of course, congratulations, sir, on this new chapter and on this new project, Lullaby for Khayoyo. And of course, we salute Khayoyo because he's an inspiration, to written in history as the one who created this next project for you.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And big thanks, I've thanked Siton. I can't thank him enough. The two record companies merging and doing this. And the musicians, the two I spoke about that I workshop the music with, and my band in South Africa, Nhlanhla Radebe, Benis Buikanyo, no, Wandile Molefe, because I absorb the music with them, with them, there'll come a stage whereby I do live recordings that outlet the very same songs, because that's how life goes anyway. And then of course the musicians in America, firstly my big brother Gary Whitner, he's become a brother and a partner in crime, doing this, and then musicians, who played on this, George Gray, who played with Abdullah, drummer, super drummer, in his 70s, he played with our own Abdullah for over 14 years. And then even Christopher, clarinet player, alto, supreme, pianist, Steve Fifeke, beautiful, his roots are actually in South Africa. His father was I think was the drummer, Yeah, we spoke, oh, what a phenomenal music. People must check him out,
Yes.
He runs a big band, he lectures, and then our own Sia Charles on trombone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
great bass player that I have the privilege to work with, before I formed Siabulela, with Jennifer Vincent.
Multi-award winning, multi-award nominee, including saxophonist, flautist, educator, McCoy Mrubata for Our Africa this Sunday on the K-Jazz Show.